Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? I'm Enrique, and hopefully you're having a really good day. This is Easy Things to Draw. Easy Things to Draw 101 channel, all about drawing, etc. So, I'm going to go over some tips on these pens that I love so much. If you've been watching the channel for a little bit, you'll notice that I love these two pens for sketching and sketchbooks, and even beyond a little bit, mostly sketchbook stuff though. And I think I gave a little, I do kind of give some tips, but I'm going to give more tips on the pen because I keep getting this question over and over again. The first question I get, the most common question on this whole channel, would be, what pen is this? And this one's the Zebra F301, and this one is the Zebra F402. They're almost the same for me, except the F402 has a little bit more weight on it, so I don't know what it is, the more weight on it just makes it feels better. So I kind of like the 402 better. You know, but these are more kind of, I don't know, these come like one, I think, or two per pack, and this one comes like 2 or 3, depending on which package that you buy. Somehow the weight to this makes it feel like better quality. I'm not sure if there's any truth to that, but yeah, that's kind of it. The tips are essentially the same. What I do want to go over is like some tips, so let's kind of get into that. But before we get into that, check out my friend's channel. My friend started a YouTube channel. It is Javi Can Draw. Javi Can Draw is a very complimentary channel to this channel. He's going over clothing, fashion, that kind of stuff, and he basically gets a topic of the week. He deconstructs it. He teaches it himself, and then he teaches it to himself, and then he teaches it to you. It's a really good system. It's good, buddy. Go check it out. When you do go over there, please. I'm going to put an annotation on the screen here. When you go say hi over there, go subscribe, say hi, and tell him that I sent you. Go in a comment and say, Easy Things to Draw sent you. I want to, we are a community, especially in the art scene. We're not so much like a comedy channel where they're like competing against each other, but I guess they're a community too, so thanks a lot. So, let's get into this stuff specifically. I took this kind of half-finished page of one of my sketchbooks. I'm going to be moving up and down. It's just a few different heads facing to the left. So when I start a lot of stuff, right, I start very sparse. The good thing about this ballpoint pen, and ballpoint pens in general, is that you can start really light, almost like a pencil. Everybody says it's so hard, but I don't really find it that hard, because it's not a fountain pen where the second you touch the paper, you got this black mark as dark as it's going to be. This is different. You can be very wispy with it. You can just kind of do whatever you want, essentially. I want to see if that's on the screen. It is. And you can change up steps. So let's say I want to get rid of this. I want to make the face a little smaller, maybe. I can do that. And a lot of those lines go away because you're pushing down on other lines more. You're pushing down harder on other lines. It's weird. Your attention goes to the darkest line or the thickest line. Or the highest contrast, but we're not so much dealing with that as much here. But see how and I'm going really light. By the way, also, if you guys want to buy the pens here, they're available like in any Office Depot, whatever. If for whatever reason you don't want to go to the store, click the link in the description. They're on Amazon, so both pens are on Amazon. Check it out. I get a small kickback if you do buy it through there, but I mean, it's almost nothing, so it doesn't matter either way. Either go to the store or check it out or find it. But I do know that I should have like a frequently asked questions on the page. I guess new people consistently come in and they ask me what pen it is. Maybe I'm doing maybe like a sauropod type dinosaur here. And see, it's really light. I'm not putting any pressure down. Like hardly any pressure. Sorry, I have to put some pressure because otherwise there'd be nothing on the screen here. looks like Kermit. So see how wispy this is? This is all like the same value. Now I'm gonna go in, and I'm going, even though I was kind of going on the tip here, I'm going even more on the tip. It's almost like I'm concentrating on the tip of this pen as I'm doing that. And I'm putting more pressure down to get that out. This is why when people tell me like pen is too hard, I mean it's hard, but it's not. It's harder than pencil for sure, because if it was pencil, I could just get rid of those lines. But I would argue it's pretty close to pencil, in my opinion. Because pencil, when you erase, they give you these really ugly lines when you erase if you do it too dark. You can change things as you go along. So there's a primary kind of there's a primary line I tend to have, which is the darkest, and we've gone over lines before in the past, but I'll definitely go over them here. So I have a primary line where I kind of is mostly the first. You got a first read on it, like the second you look at it, you get a first read like this one. You see that line. This one doesn't have much secondary detail. There's primary, secondary, and then tertiary, right? Or tertiary, right? But the primary is really that line. And these are going to be mostly line with a little bit of value in it. They're not going to. I can't call these like fully shaded, creations. They're essentially these more like slightly above sketch. They're really sketches. And I pick the spots all my darks to come out. Usually in little pinched areas like back of the jaw, things of that sort. The surfacey detail, I tend to throw small lines over. So for the front here, there's no massive amount of shadow anywhere. I will throw as light as I put in this, as light as I put in the initial proportions, just as light. I'm going to go in and do almost this half kind of cross-hatching shadow. I'm going to think of the form of the dinosaur here, of the top of the mouth, and I'm going to put little tiny wispy lines, and those little lines combine to form I would say a plane. I'm throwing these small wispy lines, and if you look at these wispy lines on their own, it's almost like, why are you even doing them? But they build up as you're doing this. And this is and I had another video all about this, and I was talking about think in 3D. This is a reason, one of the biggest reasons why you think in 3D is because you're thinking of the surface of this dinosaur. You're thinking of the surface at all times. I'm thinking of this whole thing. I'm thinking about what would it be like if I was to reach out and grab this thing. It would have kind of a bulbous, what do you call this thing? Like the brow. The brow would be bulbous. And then how would it be? Would it be like this big like donut on his head? Or not? Granted, we are doing this without reference, like research, that kind of thing. I'm just kind of doing this off the top of my head of what I already know. A little bit about sauropods, but not a bunch. If I was doing like a project though, like sauropods, I would definitely grab a lot of research on what the latest research says, and just kind of go off that and try to inject that into here. Depending on what I want to do, you could do an exaggerated. Exaggerate detail. I'm going through these things, and these things are called, I believe some people call them halftone, and I've called it halftone in the past as well. These little tiny wispy lines. And what makes those wispy lines really good, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. I'm not full-blown going into shading, I'm just going into this like half quasi shading technique that I tend to do a lot, and I see a lot of guys do. 1 second. Sorry, I'm sorry about this. I have to like think occasionally. So I went into the halftones before I even went into the main shadow pattern. There's a big shadow pattern that's going to occur, right? Especially when you're coming from the top here, light's coming from the top. It would be right here under the jaw. Think about like when you see your friends and stuff like that, or people on the street. You know, when you're in the sunlight, you always have that lower jaw hits the neck, and it's no different with this guy. And I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna do this really. This is where it's very pen specific right now. I'm gonna put this pattern, this shadow pattern, this big one, really lightly, and I go down as light as the first part too. So this is really pen specific, what I'm talking about here. This, you know, a ballpoint pen specific. I'm going down really light, almost like I'm testing the water on the shadow as well. So there's a shadow here, and there will probably be a shadow on the other side, but I don't want it that much. I think it's going to be too much. So what I'm going to do, sorry about this, hold on. I think the light, when I'm doing this, is kind of interfering. Let me put some more light over here. I'm going to move that light forward and move this light back. 1 second. Apologize, I didn't notice that. Let me see this. Yeah, that works. Let me move it further. There you go. Just so the light from my hand doesn't hit too hard. And I'm going to move this light closer here. Come on. Get over here. I really want to see. I want you to see this. That's about as good as it can get. I hope this is okay, guys. It's much less than it was before. I don't know why it doesn't do that. There we go. I'm going to move this really close. There we go. Almost. Sorry about that. Ah. Okay. Pretty close, right? And, yeah, I don't know what's going on. So, okay. So I'm testing the water on this shadow pattern here below. This really big one. And the other one that always happens is in the eye. You know, below the brow line. That one happens below the brow. You know, there's no brow lines. Below the brow of this guy. I like leaving the light there. I like leaving the light in the eye, even if there's like a, you know, like an eyeball in there. Let's draw an eyeball in there. A big part of like making the eye stand out, especially on stuff like this, I tend to do this a lot, is I trace the eye itself. I give the eye a really big line around it because I want it to stand out. Go down there, down here as well. I'm going to, from this pinch, I'm going to go darker into this shadow pattern here. The reason I throw also on the back side here, the reason I throw these little nicks is to kind of give the form kind of a roundness, like it's turning the corner. So I don't know if you noticed the theme of this is that a lot of little tiny details come together to you know, kind of form an overall image, you know, which is obviously, I know what you're saying like, duh, you know, but I think people take that for granted, and people go too fast, which I had a video on that as well. A lot of people just go way too fast. This is all building up, and this hasn't been that long, right? It's been about, what, 10 minutes or something? It's not, these sketches can be really quick if you just kind of stick to the, you know, you just kind of stick to the process that you've built for yourself, whatever that may be. And you just enjoy what you're doing. Especially, like, that's also really key. Just enjoying what you're doing is such a big deal. I can keep working on this guy for a while, too. I can work out small shapes. Is this going to cast a shadow? This zygomatic arch here a little bit. How so? How far? And you're designing these patterns a little bit. You're designing these patterns on the creature or dinosaur. You're just trying to design how the value and light are going to be touching this guy. Again, this is mostly very pen specific. Some of this is very pen specific, some of it's not. Right here below the teeth there, I think it needs a little, and sorry if it's hard to see, a little tiny bit of value here. Or you want to double down on the light, I'm sorry, the line. Anyways, let's I kind of move around here a little bit on the page. For another technique, what's another thing that I tend to do? Oh, here we go. I'll use it on the same one as well. Something I really like doing is, you know, pushing that value. If it's just like a, this is more of a graphic thing, graphic design. I find, see how the way the detail is here? I like pushing on the back of a character extreme darks with this pen. That's what I like about this pen as well. You can push down it pretty hard. Sorry, I'm moving the screen. I like doing that, and it kind of pushes whatever you're working on, the small details. It'll kind of push that forward, and you have to kind of pick your shots a little bit. You have to pick where you're going to do this. I remember what I normally do in some of my sketchbooks, not all of them. Usually I just kind of sketch around, but if I really want to do this sort of thing and maybe put like a shape behind them. Looks like he has a beard, that's funny. Yeah, it depends where it is. What I will do is I will grab a different ballpoint pen, because these ballpoint pens I actually value. I really like these a lot. They're better. They're finer than a regular ballpoint pen, and they don't let out as many blotches as another ballpoint pen. Because if you get regular ones, like let's say you go to the gas station or something like that, and you get a regular ballpoint pen, those will on occasion, and these will too by the way, just not as much, they will let out this weird, just all of a sudden blotch out of nowhere. And I think it's because it's like kind of, I guess it kind of stores up at the tip or something like that, and as you're using it, it'll just let it out. And so sometimes that'll happen. If you're really careful, if you're really, you know, working on something, it can really annoy you. It's really annoying. So with these, another thing I do is I'll grab like a cloth or something, and then I'll clean it off a little bit occasionally. Just clean it off. Because if you're doing stuff like a big project and you're doing it with this, you can, I wouldn't say ruin it, but if it's like in a sensitive area, it's possible it could ruin it. So just be really aware of that. Be really aware of the blotches that this lets out, but and this doesn't even let them out that much. And be aware that the typical ballpoint pen will let that out. Anyways, that's kind of it. That was a couple of different, you know, a little bit more tips to using the ballpoint pen that I use and how I use that. If you have any other questions on this thing, please let me know. I probably missed something, I'm sure. I always miss something, and maybe I can get like a follow-up video of this, maybe like even more, you know, tips on using the ballpoint pen to draw. So thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. You know, you know, everybody's been really, really nice on this channel. It's been a great journey. Share the video if you did like it. Also, yeah, that's kind of it. I'll see you later, guys.